Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford, and it's a warm day in Glasgow once again. It's early doors. Joining us from the podcast from Australia's Harper, once again from Kitcast 360. Harper, really glad you came on, mate, and talking more about Aron Mooy, who has signed for Celtic, obviously a free transfer. A lot of fans back here in Glasgow, it's been quite underwhelming, mate. Some negative vibes about the transfer. Me personally, I think it's a very good deal. I think he's a very, very good player, but I know yourself, you'll know more about him than maybe people back here in Glasgow. And again, mate, thanks for coming on to chat this morning.
Oh, mate, it's an absolute pleasure to come on, as always. Thank you for having me again. But it's interesting you say it's an underwhelming transfer for lots of fans because even if he doesn't turn out to be as good as I and other Australians think he will be, it's a free transfer. So what are you losing? You're getting a squad player, and you need squad players, right? You haven't forked out millions for him. It's literally a free transfer, and he's still very much up to the level, still amazing technically as he always has been throughout his career. He's never been one to rely on pace or power particularly. So he's not going to lose those big assets as he ages. So I think he will be an absolute superb signing for Celtic, and hope to see him in the starting 11 as the season progresses, or even at the start of the season.
I do feel it's a positive signing, to be honest with you, Harper. Like you say, it's a free transfer, so it's kind of low risk. He's not really going to be scrutinised too much if he fails, because it is a free transfer. But I do believe that from his experiences playing down in England and obviously Australia, it's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion to get him a free transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's if viewers and your audience has seen him down south from Scotland in with Brighton and Huddersfield, Huddersfield fans, many of them say, by all reports, that he is one of their greatest players of all time. And I know Huddersfield is not the biggest team in the world; they're not the best team in the world, but to be one of the greatest players of all time and play in the Premier League, he was getting a few goals, few assists every season, and dominating games, dictating the tempo, dominating big teams as well. He had a superb game against Arsenal, I think it might have been when he was at Brighton, and Brighton beat Arsenal. And he's useful from free kicks. He scored plenty of free kick goals, long range strikes, but his massive thing is dictating the tempo, and he really loves a loopy ball, a looping ball, whether it's a switch of play or into space. His technical ability is probably the best we've ever seen from any Australian player ever. I think it's fair to say it's absolutely incredible what he can do with the ball, and we call him down here the pasty Perlo, because he's an absolute wizard on the ball, mate.
I think, see, that's some of the comments from yourself. It's interesting because I think some fans don't always do their research. I think, and just because it's a free transfer, they think, oh, he's 31, he's not played in a while. Why be signing a free transfer when we could get somebody for a few £1 million? But I'm the opposite. I'm thinking, well, you're getting an experienced internationalist for over 50 caps for Australia, played in England. He's played at the highest level in England. It's not like he's played in the Championship or League One. He's played in the Premier League. Like you say, his technical ability is very good. His passing range is phenomenal, and especially the way Celtic play, that's the way we want to play. Very good passing, crisp passing, loop balls over the top into Kyogo, Giakoumakis. So for me, his model of the game fits Celtic perfectly.
Absolutely. And there might be people accusing Ange of nepotism because obviously Aron Mooy, fellow Australian, maybe people think Ange is only signing him because he's Australian, because he's worked with him before. That is just not the case at all. There is absolutely no chance that that is the reason that Aron Mooy has been signed to Celtic, because as you know, Ryan, and as all Celtic fans would know, Ange is one to judge players and people on their merits, not the past, not his relationship with them in the past or anything like that. Purely their skills in the right here and right now. And Aron Mooy is very much up to it. He's 31, but he against Peru in World Cup qualifier, the playoff to get into the World Cup for Australia. He hadn't played for 5 or 6 months. He'd hardly played, and he played 3 games in a week for Australia. And the third one, that playoff against Peru, played 120 minutes, scored a penalty, and was a key figure in us getting to the World Cup. Without him, I don't know if Australia would be in the World Cup. And yeah, instrumental, and I hope he will be the same for Celtic, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he is.
But the fact that he's not played in a few months and then playing games like that at that level, at that intensity, and under that pressure, it shows you as well, Harper, that he probably keeps himself very, very fit as well.
Absolutely. From all the people who've worked with him in the past, they've said he's a coach's dream because his attitude is amazing. He's not a big ego or anything like that. I'm not sure if you've seen the interview with him after his signing at Celtic was announced, but he's a very softly spoken, quiet, almost shy guy, especially in front of the camera. So he's not going to be a guy who's giving you the great social media content and everything like that. And he's not an ego. So he's very dedicated to his craft, works very hard by all reports from everyone that's worked with him. And to be 31 and dictating games like he has been for Australia is pretty, frankly, incredible. One thing I will say, though, weakness, I have been just glowing in my praise the whole time, but like everyone, he does have his weaknesses. He isn't great. Well, to say he's not great defensively might be a bit broad, but he's not great defending transition. So if you're coming up if you're dominating a team and coming up against some lowly Scottish Premiership team who wants to hit you on the break and have a couple of fast midfielders, fast strikers who can move the ball, progress the ball upfield very quickly, he might be vulnerable to that, especially if he's playing as a single pivot, which I don't think Ange would use him as, but you don't want to be playing in that single pivot role because he's not the type of player to turn a sixpence and move the other way super quickly. His lateral movement isn't the greatest. And it never has been. It's not a thing that is evident in his game because he's getting old. He's never been great box to box type midfielder. Not really a midfield dynamo type, but as I said before, his main asset is dictating the play. He's incredible at that. For Australia, I've never seen a player like him before or since. And he's just the passes he sees and the balls he can play and the trouble he can get himself out of with just a few touches. It's incredible. And we all good there, Ron? I think you might have lost me.
No, I broke up. Sorry. No, but I get what you're saying. I do feel that maybe that's something that maybe I need to work on with Celtic, the defensive side. But the only thing they might need to defend is really Europe, the Champions League type of thing. In Scotland, unless you're playing against Rangers, even then you're always going to have the ball going forward at Celtic, especially in domestic wise. So I think his attacking prowess would probably suit us a lot better. Especially going forward, like you say, his passing range is excellent. He's got a bit of dig about him as well. He's not all nicey. I know he's put a yellow card now and then. He might talk nice and soft, but I think he's got a bit of nasty about him on the park.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, awesome asset to have. And when you come up against teams who press a bit higher, they will try to press more because when he's not given as much time of the ball, he's not as good because it's harder to pull out amazing passes out of the bag when you're constantly being hassled and harried. But what that will do when he's pressed will open up your two centre halves. So if they're good with the ball at their feet, and they'll be given much more time, and even your other number 8 or number 6, Hatate maybe, he's great on the ball. So pressing Mooy will open up other players and hopefully, allow for more progression on the ball for Celtic, even against good teams.
Because I think as well, the fact that it's a free transfer for me is actually, I think it's a fantastic deal. I don't know if it's been in the pipeline for a while, but the fact as well that I think his wife or his girlfriend, I'm not sure if he's a wife or girlfriend, but I know he's a partner. She's actually from Glasgow as well, so he knows the country, he knows Celtic, he knows Ange. It just feels to me that it's a perfect fit, especially maybe at the right time in his career as well.
So, man, I'm going to move rooms
No,
for
that's
you.
okay, mate.
And then I'll be back in a sec. Sorry about that, Ryan. We're back now. Hopefully,
Sorry,
the
mate.
internet's all clear.
That's okay, mate.
We're good to go.
No, I was just saying, obviously, it's a free transfer as well. So for me, I don't see the big issue from it. I feel that it's a no-brainer, to be fair. I just feel that maybe it's a bit underwhelming from some fans, obviously, but for me, I just feel it's a perfect fit for him. And the fact that his partner stays in Glasgow, Paisley in Glasgow. So he knows the country, he knows Celtic. I just think it's a perfect fit for him and maybe at the right time.
Absolutely. And yeah, he's got wife and kids living there. And he was living there as well for the past few months, living there and training there because he was previously in China and they had a funny COVID situation where he wanted to be able to play for the Socceroos. So wasn't going to China because he wouldn't be able to get back out if he went to China. So he's been in Glasgow for months, I think. And it's interesting because there didn't seem to be any talk of this transfer being in the works until a couple of days ago. So it all seemed to happen very quickly. But it obviously made easier by Aron Mooy being in Scotland, and that probably kind of lubricated the wheels to get in motion as well. But yeah, it's underwhelming. I can understand why people would think it would be underwhelming. But again, free transfer, if he's no good, which I don't think he will be, he'll be a squad player. And free transfer squad player, what's there to dislike about that, really?
I totally agree with you, Harper. I actually think he's a very, very good player. It might take maybe a few weeks for him to get to full fitness in the way Celtic fans want him to play, but I think you've just got to trust the manager as well. Ange hasn't done anything for the fans not to trust his recruitment. So for me, I just think you need to trust the manager in this process, and I do feel that he's a fantastic player. I don't think there's, as free transfer goes, I think we've got a very, very good free transfer. I know some fans might expect big money signings, but I do feel that Aaron Mooy is a very good player. I think he fits Celtic perfectly. I think he'll add to the squad, and like you say, I agree with you. He might not be a starter every week, but I generally feel that if he's fully fit, he can easily come in and play every week with Celtic. I don't think there's any issue with that. But like you says, even if it doesn't really work out too well, you've still got a very decent squad player in your books.
And he is very much capable of bobbing up for a goal as well, especially from long range. I think it was the 2015-16 season for Melbourne City here in the A-League. In a 26, or I think he played 26 games, and he scored 11 goals and got 18 assists, which is phenomenal in any league. So if you can come up with anything near that in Celtic, or in Glasgow for Celtic, everyone will be very, very happy about that, other than Rangers fans, I expect. But it'll be interesting to see when he does play, what kind of role he will be playing, because for Australia, he tends to play a number 6 role, a bit more deep lying midfielder, kind of bringing the play out, receiving the ball from defence and then bringing it forward into attack, rather than a more attacking number 8 or even number 10 role. Because Australia doesn't really have any alternatives for a number 6 role. They've got lots of attacking midfielders, but no one who can really play that number 6 role. Aron Mooy is probably better as a number 8, but he's our best option for number 6. So we're playing as a number 6, but in club football, where teams have got their choice of who they can sign and all that, he does play as a number 8 more, and is much more suited to that, in my opinion, because his best strengths don't lie as in the role of a deep lying playmaker. It's more as that slightly more advanced midfielder, not quite a number 10. He's absolutely not a Tom Rogic replacement or anything like that. Very, very different players. But I do hope that Ange uses him in his best role, which in my opinion is as number 8. And when Ange coached him for the Socceroos, he primarily utilised him in I think it was the left side of midfield in a diamond midfield, because we had Mile Jedinak then, who you might be familiar with from his Premier League days, who was that kind of robust defensive midfielder who could be at the base of that diamond. Socceroos don't have that now, so Aron Mooy does play a slightly more defensive role. He doesn't shirk challenge like you were saying before. He's happy to get a yellow card, but he can be vulnerable in transition defensively because he's not particularly quick. And that's, definitely not a strength of his. So advanced role, best for him for sure.
I think as well the fact that he's very good on the ball. I think he's decent at free kicks as well, from what I'm seeing as well. I just think his all-round play, for me, is very, very good. I know you're known better from playing with Australia, and obviously maybe the defensive side's got to be a wee bit better, but I don't think, especially in Scotland, I don't think you'll need to defend too much. So I think you might see more of his attacking prowess a lot more in Scotland. And again, the more games he plays with Celtic, the more games he plays, the more confident he'll get as well. I know he played in China. I think he still done okay in China. I don't know if it worked out too well for him, but he's obviously went and get a lot of money in China, and maybe he's just feeling that it's time to get back into playing in European football or a better league.
Exactly. And World Cup coming up for Australia, he will have his eyes set on starting games for Celtic, because he'll need to be in the reckoning for a starting spot in the Socceroos World Cup lineup. So he hasn't gone to Celtic just to sit on the bench in his mind, at least. And yeah, with the China thing, it's a strange one. He definitely didn't play as much as he would have liked because of the whole COVID situation. He was there for the last couple of years, and it just absolutely did not work out as well as he would have liked. But I mean, he probably went there for the money, didn't he? So he got that, and that's what he wanted. So good on him, all power to him. And now he's back in a league of a much, much higher standard, because the Chinese league, it's not all that. So it'll be very exciting to see him in Scotland. And you mentioned from set pieces as well. From free kicks, he doesn't score maybe the sexiest free kicks per se, but he knows how to almost caress the ball into just the right spot, not with fantastic power or anything, but with great precision. He scored one against, I think it was in the Premier League against Wolves at Molyneux, which was just so perfectly snuck into the bottom corner of the near post. And yeah, he's got a real knack for finding those perfect spots, whether it is from a set piece shot or from a pass, because his technical ability is absolutely supreme.
I think the fact that he's got a lot of technical ability just fits Celtic style, because the way Ange wants to play, it's very technical players, fast moving, going forward, on the attack right away. It's relentless, and as we're saying in Glasgow, it's Celtic, we don't stop, and I think that's the way Ange wants to play his football. So for me, it just fits the bill perfectly well for Celtic, and I don't see any issue from the transfer. I'm actually quite excited about him, to be honest with you. I know him from obviously his days in Huddersfield and Brighton. He played most weeks for the both teams. Anybody I've heard speak about him, especially on social media, they've high praise about him, especially from yourselves in Australia. I've not heard really one bad comment about him at all. It's all high praise and basically saying how good he is.
And as I mentioned before, his attitude really shines through with all the people he's worked with. And so on field, off field, super hard worker, knows how to knuckle down, doesn't kick up a stink if he doesn't particularly get something going his way. Very quiet, well-mannered, humble guy who, yeah, he's not going to be the life of the dressing room or anything, but he's going to play his role very well. I mean, Celtic fans might not notice it at the start because he's the kind of guy who can slip under the radar with the stuff, with the strengths he brings to the team and his assets. But if you watch him for 90 minutes and really just focus on him, just laser in, zoom in on what Aron Mooy specifically is doing, you can realise just how proficient he is technically and his awareness of everything going on around him. And he'll just belt out a ball to 40 yards away on the complete other side of the pitch into space, and absolute pinpoint pass. It's incredible what he can do with that kind of stuff. And really, as a fulcrum of any team he's in, he's adored by almost every club he's been at. Western Sydney, Melbourne City, and then the two teams in the Premier League, Brighton and Huddersfield, just glowing praise from him all around. He actually started his very early on. I think he started his professional career at St Mirren in Scotland. I don't know how many games he got, but a bit of an interesting one there, circling back around in his career.
Adds a comment on the YouTube, Harper, from Barry. I think he brings technical ability, composure and ball retention. Great signing for free. I personally agree with Barry. I think it's a fantastic signing for a free transfer. If Aron Mooy was fully fit, as in if he's playing with a team at the moment, it would probably cost you a few £1 million, in my opinion. So 31's not too old. He's still got a lot of football to play, and maybe he's got a thing for himself. He's got to prove himself. Maybe not working out too much in China. Maybe put himself back out there, his reputation back out there, his ability back to tell people, I've no went anywhere. I'm still the Aron Mooy from my Brighton days, etc. So I agree with Barry. I don't know what you think, Harper, but I think Barry's got it spot on there.
I think he's got it spot on as well. I don't think he's a player who's going to hit 30 and then have a rapid decline in his abilities, because he's not a player who really, really relies on his physical attributes, which, like, as everyone knows, kind of tend to dip once you hit 30 or so. Technical ability is something that tends to stick around a lot longer. And with the World Cup coming up in November, 21 appearances for St Mirren. There you go. But it will be interesting to see how he's used at the World Cup, because he'll undoubtedly start most games, if not every game, for Australia. And if he plays at that World Cup and then comes back on the other side of that, and if Ange perhaps changes his role because of something he's seen at the World Cup.
I do agree with you in that sense as well, that the World Cup is probably a big thing for him as well. He's obviously decided maybe Celtic, he might get a lot of game time maybe to put himself in to play for the World Cup as well. And I think I don't really think he'll be the only player that will be thinking this. Coming up, I think a lot of people will be making moves, whether they're going to be playing at their club to play in the World Cup, because obviously a lot of players want to play in World Cups, and if they're not playing at their club, the chance of him playing the World Cup, it's going to be hard for him to get in the squad. So I think he's maybe thinking as well. He knows Ange will give him a fair crack of the whip as well. So he knows he'll bring a big shout of playing for Australia as well.
Absolutely, and Ange known to judge people on their merits, not on any past history or anything like that. Aron Mooy absolutely still got it, as I've said multiple times, and as he showed against Peru and all the teams that the Socceroos played over the period in the last few months or so. So very exciting times ahead.
For me, I'm the same as you, mate. I think there's not one bad signing, to be fair, that Ange has done. And especially Mooy, I don't think it's a bad signing. I think it's a very good calculating move from Ange, because he knows the player. Coming from the Champions League, I think he's from Jotty Boy too. He's been signed for the Champions League in mind, in my opinion, but I reckon he will play regularly when he's fit. I do agree as well. I think he's obviously signed in a degree where Ange is thinking ahead. I don't think it's just a free transfer. Let's just sign him and see how he is, because Ange knows how he is. But overall, Harper, what would you say is his main asset? It's just to end the show. What would you say all around? What's the main things we need to look out for Aron Mooy?
Well, if I could just respond to that comment about the Champions League very quickly, I think if you're playing the kind of lower ranked teams in the Champions League, will be all right, but not so much against if you get pitted against Real Madrid or your Barcelona or your Manchester City or anything like that. I don't think that is the type of game he will be most valuable in. Personally, I think he's perfect to play against teams that you can romp 6-0, 7-0 in the Scottish Premier League, Scottish Premiership, because when he's got time on the ball and hasn't got as much pressure on him and is playing against teams who just sit back the whole time, he really, really knows how to unlock a defence, like not many other players who I've seen come out of Australia. But just to respond to your question there, what main primary things he's going to bring? Passing range, absolutely. Said it so many times, but really got to drive that home. It's unbelievable the stuff he can do on the ball and the situations that he can wriggle himself out of. I wouldn't say he's the greatest dribbler. He's not going to drive forward like your Tom Rogic, but like just on a little half turn type thing, and maybe he'll chest it down and get himself out of trouble just with a few touches. He's really, really good at that, and dictating the tempo and the flow of a game, playing a game at his own pace will be something he can bring to Celtic, and is super exciting for the kind of context in which Celtic plays most of their games, in which they're the heavy, heavy favourites, which is very much suited to him.
I think as well, it's maybe a masterstroke as well from Celtic, the fact that they know people for Australia are going to buy Celtic strips again. It's going to be Aron Mooy strips. It's that side of the game as well. I don't think fans will think about as well. It's a financial benefit as well. There'll be more eyes on the Scottish game. There'll be more eyes on him. And it just brings more attention to him and Ange as well, and Celtic as well. But overall, Harper, I'm really positive of the signing, and obviously everything you've gave us, the inside information about him, I'm positive about it. You seem very positive, so if you're positive and the Australians are positive, then I'm positive. So I just think it's a wait to see now and see how he fits in with the club. But Harper, I appreciate your time this morning. I know it's a bit later in Australia, but I really appreciate your time, mate, and hail, hail.
Oh, I really appreciate you letting me on again, mate. It was really fun as always. We love talking positive things, Australia and Celtic. It's absolutely awesome what's going on in Glasgow at the moment. So appreciate it, guys, and I hope the listeners enjoyed. Catch you soon.
As the last wee comment there, Jotty Boy 2 again, before we go, he's a player that can take the ball under pressure and play out from the press from opposing centre mids. Yeah, that's right. I would say everything we spoke about there, Jotty Boys. Kind of your comment there. I definitely agree. Under pressure, he's very good with the ball, and like Harper says, his passing range is phenomenal. But I do believe that fits the bill at Celtic as well. But I do agree with Harper. Everything you've said, mate, I think you're spot on what I feel about him as well. And I do feel we'll do well for Celtic. But again, mate, really, really appreciate your time, and hopefully see you again, and hail, hail.
Thank you very much, mate. See you soon.